1992-2006 AM General Hummer H1. The original Hummer was completely impractical on the street. Ridiculously wide and painfully slow, it handled about as well as a medium-duty dump truck. But for off-road excursions, the H1 had the hardware to perform. General engineered it for the military, so the Hummer's drivetrain and four-wheel independent suspension provided an incredible 16 inches of ground clearance. And unlike other production four-wheel drive vehicles, the Hummer could raise or lower air pressure in the tires right from the cab, which allowed this massive 4-ton monster to float across deep sand and snow. 1992-2006 AM General Hummer H1. Military versions all used an underpowered 6.2-liter V8, as did early civilian H1s. In 1996, H1s received stronger engines, either a 5.7-liter V8, a normally aspirated 6.5-liter diesel, or a 6.5-liter turbo diesel with 195 horsepower and 430 pounds-foot of torque. 1992-2006 AM General Hummer H1. The H1 was available as a four-door convertible, hardtop wagon, cool slantback wagon, or a very rare pickup called the Recruit. But the best models were the 2006 Alphas. These used the much more potent 6.6-liter Duramax diesel with 520 pounds-foot of torque backed by a 5-speed Allison automatic transmission. This was basically the same powertrain you'd find in a heavy-duty pickup truck. General gave the Alpha larger brakes, a larger fuel tank for increased range, and outfitted the interior with much better materials. The downside of the Alpha was that it cost around $150,000. 1992-2006 AM General Hummer H1. The Hummer H1 was one of the few vehicles here that can be astonishingly capable off-road just as the factory built it. And yet aftermarket retailers like Hummer Parts Club offer a wide range of racks, guards and gear to make them even more useful. Civilian Hummer H1s were rare and expensive vehicles when new. In the last few years of the vehicle's life, they sold for exotic car money. And this, along with the H1's wild personality, has made them collectible. The Alphas are of course the most desirable and valuable. But it's hard to find any civilian models under $50,000. 1969-1991 Chevrolet Blazer. The original Chevy Blazer looks so chiseled and brawny that it seems completely natural parked next to a 1960s muscle car. But unlike the original Blazer's contemporary arch rival, the Ford Bronco, the Chevy is based on a full-size pickup truck. Those dimensions were big back in the early 1960s, but today the early Blazers almost feel mid-size. The trucky roots means there are no weak spots in the drivetrain. The best ones use a big 350 cubic inch V8 bolted to either a 3-speed automatic or a 4-speed manual with an incredibly low 6.551 first gear. And many use the nearly bulletproof cast iron NP205, a 4WD transfer case so strong it was used in crew cab 1-ton pickups with big block V8s until the 1990s. 1969-1991 Chevrolet Blazer. First-generation Blazers had fully removable fiberglass roofs, making them fun recreational vehicles in warm climates. And because they were basically short pickups, there's room to pack lots of gear for an extended getaway. 1969-1991 Chevrolet Blazer. In 1973, GM moved the Blazer to the new square body design, a look it kept for another 18 years. The wheelbase grew slightly, and engineers carved out a roomier, more modern interior. But the truck still used a full convertible roof until it was shortened to cover just the rear passengers and the cargo hold in 1976. One of our favorite models is the exceedingly rare 1976-1977 Chalet model. It's a factory camper that slept up to 4 in pure 1970s style. Through the second generation's lifespan, GM shoved everything under the hood from an inline-6 to an optional 400 cubic inch V8, even a 6.2-liter diesel V8, an engine used in M1009 military Blazers. 1969-1991 Chevrolet Blazer. In the late 1980s, Blazers evolved with modern technology like fuel injection, shift-on-the-fly 4-wheel drive and 4-speed overdrive automatics. Blazers have always been popular for outdoor recreation, and since they share platforms with GM's full-size and, later, mid-size pickups, there's practically an endless supply of parts and knowledge to restore or build one up. Experts say it's best to avoid the clunky, full-time 4WD system, optional from 1973 to 1980. Part-time conversion kits are available, but swapping the transfer case is the strongest, smartest option. Prices range widely, but early first-generation trucks command a premium. Prices are also creeping up for later Blazers. Low-mileage examples of the last ones from 1989-1991 are coveted by Blazer fans. GM Trucks Center restores Chevy and GMC trucks of this era, including Blazers. 1973-1991 Chevrolet Suburban. The Suburban is the granddaddy of all SUVs and the longest continuously running nameplate in the U.S. The first Suburbans, dating from 1936, were workhorses, but the square-bodied trucks from the 1970s through the early 1990s established the Suburban as a mainstream family vehicle. These were the first Suburbans to gain four-wheel doors. Hunt down a Suburban with a bench seat in all three rows and you could carry 9 people. These square Suburbans were sold in large numbers over their 19-year production run. Most of them have a strong and reliable 350 cubic inch V8 under the hood. Four-wheel drive was a popular option, and many early trucks used a 3-speed automatic backed by a stout NP205 transfer case. It's a drivetrain that could put up with plenty of abuse. But like its platform mate the Blazer, there were plenty of Suburbans that came with the relatively unloved full-time 4WD system. 1973-1991 Chevrolet Suburban. Strongest of the breed are the 3/4-ton 20 series trucks, later known as 2500 series, using beefier transmissions, axles and a stiffer suspension to handle heavy trailers. Two-wheel drive Suburbans were sold in large numbers for their towing capability. The venerable big block 454 cubic inch engine was only available in 2500 series Suburbans with rear-wheel drive. These beasts could tow 10,000 pounds. Suburbans gained refinement in the late 1980s with the addition of 4-speed overdrive automatics, and electronic fuel injection arriving in 1987 and ABS landing on 1988 trucks. 1973